Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello, I'm Kerry L. Watt and welcome to the show. I was reading recently on Forbes that creative thinking is unleashing the potential of the mind to conceive new ideas. To reach innovation, we have to unleash our own creativity using various strategies. And a Fast Company article mentioned that 72% of people have creative insights in the shower. And Harvard Business School's leading researcher on this very topic says that creativity is producing novel and useful ideas. They say innovation is to an organization what creativity is to an individual. Now, my guest today has some fascinating insight into creativity and generating new ideas, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Please welcome Kevin Mann to the show. Welcome, Kevin.
Hi, Kerry.
Hi, how are you today?
Very well, thanks.
Awesome. So let's go back to that statistic of 72% of us getting new ideas in the shower. I have to say I'm totally one of these people. And I didn't actually realise it was a thing. I just thought it was something that we all joked about. Why is that? Why do you think that happens?
Well, it's one of the theories of creativity is around the idea of incubation, where you absorb a lot of information, probably from the day before and things like that, or during the week before. And that information just incubates in your mind, and then it just materializes into new concepts, new ideas, new thoughts. When you're not really trying to think about it, because it's had a time to incubate and to mature and to develop links that you hadn't really thought about before. So that's why it tends to happen when you're not thinking too hard, when you're thinking about something slightly different, and when you allow your mind to wander. And hence the shower or the bath or many other moments, really.
Like a good walk on the beach.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's the biggest misconception or myth that you find when it comes to how one becomes creative or starts that process?
To me, the biggest myth is that some people are not creative. The reality is that we're all creative. Creativity, at the end of the day, is actually just a skill, and it's about practicing that skill. A lot of people think that they're creative types. Particularly artists or people like that. The reality is actually it's just about how they approach the world and how they approach problems that makes them creative. And anyone can actually learn from their techniques and borrow from their techniques and be just as creative.
Wow, I love that. That's a really good point, actually. I've always thought that creativity is something that you're just kind of born with, or as obviously you can, train and get better and practice and things. But I totally thought you were or you weren't creative. So that's really interesting that you say it's actually a skill that you can completely learn.
Yeah, it is. I mean, creativity at the end of the day is about connecting thoughts that previously just weren't connected or that weren't obvious. And it's about making those connections. So, it is quite a skill to be able to do that, to allow your mind to wander and just put two things together that actually on the surface would have nothing to do with each other. And that's all creative people do, really. It is about just connecting the dots.
Yeah, I love that. That's really, really interesting. So can you tell us a little bit about you? What led you to go into this field and get interested in this topic?
Well, I mean, my background is in marketing. I'm a marketing consultant, and I've worked with lots of large organizations, mainly blue chips in the financial services sector in places like London and Zurich and others. And I've tended to come into these organizations when they're going through a time of quite considerable change. Either they've grown through some acquisition, or they're having to reshape the organization and separate bits off. And so a lot of what I've been involved in is about helping the teams there to deal with that period of acute change, really a new world order for a lot of them. And the thing that made the most impact with most of the teams has been about giving them the skills to be able to develop innovative and creative ways of solving the problems that they have with the tools that they have available at the time. And that's a critical thing. You have to be creative with what you have. It's not always about throwing more money at things. It's about just being more imaginative with what you have and delivering solutions, and giving a different flavour to the solutions that you can develop.
Nice. That's
I don't know,
really
I sort of waffled on a bit too much there, didn't I? I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say. Anyway, carry on.
And what led you to start your own business and to go out there on your own? Because you've worked with some pretty incredible companies. What led you to going out by yourself?
I think what led me to do it is just because I enjoyed it so much. That's probably the aspect of the job that I enjoyed most, was
Yeah.
about helping those teams to develop and build their skills, learn new techniques, and actually see them apply those, and really see the joy in them being able to then take on those skills and deliver something completely different to what they had experienced or been able to deliver before.
And you mentioned a moment ago about working abroad and things. Does anything differ, like from country to country, or are we like when it comes to creativity or the corporate world? Have you found any differences?
Um, I think the main differences in different, and it tends to be more in different types of organizations or industries, is the amount of freedom people allow themselves to be able to think differently. I think that's the critical thing. Creativity comes from a freedom of thought, being able to just think the unthinkable from time to time. And in some industries, particularly financial services and others, it's quite a restrained industry, quite a conservative industry. And I think that's one of the issues, is about finding ways in which you can enable people to be free with some of the thinking that they're trying to go through, and some of the solutions that they're trying to find.
And what type of businesses are you working with at the moment? And what kind of industries are they in, or what are they doing?
A number of organisations, but again, mainly large corporates. So one of the companies I work with at the moment produces a lot of IT system and services for the public sector, including the police, schools, the NHS, and others like that.
Amazing. It must be, and it must be so really insightful for you as well to kind of get a look into all these different industries and companies as well.
Yeah, I mean, these types of organisations that effectively permeate society and support society as a whole are really interesting because of just the variety of activities that they get involved in. Most of the stuff that they're doing is really IT based, and it is about developing the right IT systems for all of these organisations and the right support services for these organisations. But what they're trying to achieve is really, a better NHS or a more effective police service. So it's quite interesting what they get involved in.
And you'll actually go in and deliver sessions to companies, don't you? So that face-to-face stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll go in and we'll deliver programs. Probably the most important program that we deliver is something that we call Mission Horizons. And this is a 3 to 6 month program in which we take teams from organizations, usually around 20 to 30 people. We'll take them through an innovation cycle. So a whole process from initial problem identification all the way through to proposing some solutions to those problems. And then we'll usually finish that with a pitch, a bit like a Dragon's Den pitch, where they'll pitch ideas to a board, usually made up from experts from outside the company, but also within the company. And they'll pitch their innovation ideas for some funding for further development.
Awesome. What would you say is your favourite part of delivering a programme? Is it that face-to-face, that contact?
Absolutely. I mean, I do love getting stuck in with the teams and helping them to so what we'll do is we'll practice specific techniques, and we'll apply different techniques to a specific problem and see how many different ideas or different solutions we can come up with. And then we'll work with them to develop prototypes to see, to feel and touch these sort of solutions and see if they can really work, and see if they really have some scope in the real world. And it's that interaction, it's that, really rolling your sleeves up, getting your hands dirty in developing potential solutions.
And you must get to know these people as well quite well, I imagine, working with them over a number of months.
Yeah, we do. I mean, for example, one that's coming to an end at the moment, we've been working with 30 people on a fortnightly basis. We'll do a half a day every fortnight with 5 different teams across the organisation.
Wow.
So and that's a lot of sessions, a lot of time with them. And then of course there's our online support and telephone support at other times as well.
And then thinking of other companies, so people who are listening and maybe sort of thinking that this is something that they might need to explore, what would you say are the advantages of looking at your creativity, your processes, that idea generation?
Well, I mean, creativity is about delivering solutions to everyday problems. That's what it's really about. And what organization doesn't have problems that it's facing? Problems or opportunities. At the end of the day, an opportunity is simply a problem in a different guise. So it is about how can you better address your customer needs? How can you better deliver service at a lower cost? How can you deliver a different type of service? What new service could you deliver in a new market? It's about answering all of those sort of questions. But it's giving your people the skills and the time and the space to actually experiment and play and try some new things without them having any fear of it not being right. Because at the end of the day, this is just about coming up with the ideas and testing them to some extent through prototypes or various other methods. And that's the key thing. It's giving them the space, the time, and the permission really to do those things.
Yeah, I like that, what you just said, the space as well, because I think that is really important, isn't it? We're just kind of dumped things on our desk and like, do this, do this, do this, do this, this. But actually, just to have that space to think is just mega.
It's the space to think, and it's the space to think and to learn, to acquire. A lot of these skills are ones that have to be. It's one thing listening to, reading a book about a skill. It's another thing actually applying it in practice and practicing it and trialing it and testing it. I mean, one of the things, for example, we did in a session with a group of people was take them through a half-day workshop. This is just to help them understand, understand people, their needs, and designing for people. So what they did was they spent half a day designing a solution for the homeless, so a housing solution for the homeless. And the point of the exercise was to give them some skills on designing and prototyping and understanding people. But within half a day, they'd all designed some amazing prototypes of different types of sleeping pods and art parks and various other things like that.
Wow, that's incredible, isn't it? That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I love about what you've just been saying, because actually the skills that you would learn in that kind of environment, that's stuff that you can like take home with you and just use in like everyday life, isn't it, as well?
Oh, it is, absolutely. I mean, it is about some of the skills that we learn are techniques on how to how to shift your brain from one perspective to another, or how to connect different dots that wouldn't necessarily be connected. But other skills are very simple ones, like how to communicate some of these ideas. So that includes some very basic, how do you represent a person? How do you represent a story? How do you tell a story? How do you bring out some of the emotional aspects? So a lot of it is a combination of design skills, some skills around scientific exploration, but also around drama. We use drama and storytelling quite a lot to help people understand or explore some of their problems. So it's quite a mixture of skills.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. And you mentioned earlier about the program that you're doing. Can you tell us a little bit more about that specifically?
So the program is so it runs over 12, more or less 12 sessions, which can run between 3 to 6 months. 6 months is the ideal. It'll really depend on what time organizations can spare and how quickly they want to see results. And the idea is that the teams start off just by finding out what problems there are, either within the organization itself, or within the customer base that it's dealing with, or actually within their personal lives as well. If there's an area, hobby of interest that they feel that they can identify some problems, they then look at techniques to help them to explore those problems and really empathize with users. So this is about, we give them some skills around research and exploration, and really understanding and questioning people and interviewing people, and getting to the nub of the problem. We then help them to define exactly what that problem is. So effectively a definition phrase, a brief, how to write a brief, how to write a problem statement that then inspires different ways of solving it. We then go through a stage of different ideation techniques, different ways of generating ideas. Some of them are very straightforward and the type that you would experience in most day-to-day organizations, but we try to take those a little bit further. So we certainly do associative thinking techniques. We do a lot of brainstorming and bits and pieces like that, but we do it in a way that is a bit more effective than most people experience. We also look at some more systematic thinking methods. We look at also some scientific methods at biomimicry, looking to nature, for inspiration and things like that. And we also look at psychology, human behavior, a whole series of topics that help draw out ways of thinking, ways of solving problems, and potential new and different ideas. And then from those, we look at ways of, I suppose, shortlisting, for want of a better word, ways of prioritizing potential solutions, ways of choosing which ones are most likely to work. And then we take those into a prototyping stage, where it's about thinking with your hands and with smells and with sight, trying to turn things into reality. And it could be 2D prototypes, but most of the time it's 3D prototypes of various things. And then from there, we help people to develop the skills for pitching those ideas to a panel. So it is about the business models. It's about how to be persuasive. It's about drawing some of the important elements out, and how to get an idea across very succinctly, and being able to persuade a panel that this is an idea worth investing in.
Nice. That was amazing. Thank you. Do you just know all of that so well? It was so beautifully put.
Okay.
And so where's the best place for a company to start with, whether that's, talking to yourself, or is there a step that they need to take? Where's the best place to start?
Absolutely. Most of these programs that I've done have started by us having conversations with usually actually the CEO or MD and the HR team, because at the end of the day, this is about personal development. It's about empowering individuals with the skills and techniques to then go on and develop creative solutions, innovations within their own business. So that's where it tends to start. But there are other things that we can do. We do a half-day, I suppose, crash course. So it's a mini version of the whole process, which we'll do in half a day. So we can certainly organise that type of half day, where we'll take a team of anything from 30 to 60 people through a very intense innovation program, where they'll start with problems, they'll define problems, but within 3 hours they will have devised and potentially prototyped some solutions within the room there and then. And it takes them through a thinking process. It's about understanding the process, and then where the skills will come in and which ones would be important potentially to them. And it gives them a taster of how it works and how the process works and how creative thinking works.
Amazing. And is there anything that you feel is important for people to know about you, or anything that we haven't covered today? Is there anything else you want to add?
I think one of the key things is at the end of the day, we're developing this program. It's been going for about half a year now, and we have taken quite a few teams through the process. But we're also learning in the process. So one of the things that we do, one of the things that we are looking for are for teams who are willing to experiment and help us develop the idea and the concepts with them. So if there are any organisations out there who are quite keen to instill creativity within their teams, within their people, but are willing to work with us to help us develop our program in a way that fits best with their ethos and their culture, then get in touch with us and speak to us, because we'd love to hear from you in helping us to develop those ideas further. Just to give you an example, one of the organizations we're working with at the moment, we're delivering two different models for them. One is the face-to-face with fortnightly face-to-face meetings and workshops and ongoing activity. Well, as another method we're doing is actually online. So it's delivering for very remote teams across the world, in fact, USA, Australia, Singapore, and we're delivering those programs online, again on a fortnightly or monthly basis over a period of 6 months. But it's all done remotely, where the teams get together in their own individual hubs, and we'll deliver it through that method to look at to see which one works best for that type of organization.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing this and being here with us today. How can someone that wants to find out more hear about Kevin Mann and how you can help them?
I haven't got a clue. How do you suggest?
What's your website?
Sorry?
What's your website?
Okay, so the best way to find out or to get in touch with us is to go to the website at permissiontoplay.co. I think it's just .co, isn't it? I can't remember now.
It is. It's a gorgeous website, actually. I have to say, I was on it again earlier. It's very, very nice.
The best way to get in touch. The best way to get in touch with us is to go onto the website at permissiontoplay.co, and on there you'll see the types of programs that we offer. There will also be a bit of background information about creativity and creative thinking, and some contact information. So do jump on there and get in touch with us.
Perfect. And I thoroughly recommend listeners jump on and do that. Thank you so much, Kevin. And thank you for you guys listening. And I will see you in another episode. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.